The skies over Earth were darkened by the shadow of something enormous. At first it seemed like a cloud, a strange swirling formation blocking the sun, but soon the truth became terrifyingly clear. It was a fleet of massive alien warships, larger than anything humanity had ever seen, descending on Earth from deep space. These ships were like nothing the humans had ever imagined. Their surfaces gleamed with an eerie metallic sheen, their shapes sleek and angular, designed for maximum destruction. The world watched in horror as the ships appeared on every news channel. The alien fleet didn't bother with subtlety or negotiation. They simply arrived, silently and without warning, and hovered above Earth's major cities. It was as though they had been planning this for years, knowing exactly where and when to strike. People across the planet went into a panic. Governments scrambled to respond, but deep down, everyone knew this was something beyond their control. Inside the command centers of Earth's military, the situation was dire. General Marcus Hayward, one of the highest-ranking officers in the United States military, stared at the screen in disbelief. He had seen some things in his career, but nothing like this. The alien ships were hovering above Earth's major cities, and the military's standard weaponry, tanks, fighter jets, missiles, would never be enough to stop them. The alien ships were clearly made of materials far beyond human technology, and their power was unimaginable. "How do we fight this?" one of the officers asked, his voice trembling with fear. The room was filled with silence as everyone awaited an answer. The alien fleet was so vast, it seemed like nothing could touch them. General Hayward's mind raced, desperately searching for any possibility of victory. "We don't know much about them, but one thing's clear, they're not here for peace," he said, his voice steady. He turned to the screen, which now displayed a close-up of one of the alien ships. "They've come to invade, and they're not going to leave without a fight." As the room filled with tension, Hayward made a decision. "We need to call in everything we have, every country, every resource. This is humanity's fight for survival." His voice was firm, but inside he was worried. Could humanity really stand against something so powerful? Meanwhile, in a distant alien command center, the leaders of the alien fleet were already celebrating. They had been planning this invasion for centuries. They knew Earth was a young, primitive world, rich in resources, but defenseless against a force like theirs. The alien leaders, seated around a giant circular table, watched as the first wave of their attack began. The humans would try to fight back, but it wouldn't matter. They had far superior technology, and their warships could destroy entire cities with a single strike. There was no challenge here. One of the alien commanders laughed, his voice cold and harsh. "This is it. We take Earth, and we crush any hope they have of resistance. Their artillery, their weapons, nothing will stop us. Let the invasion begin." The alien fleet released smaller drones, scouting Earth's atmosphere. These drones were capable of taking out military bases and communication stations before any real resistance could be mounted. Cities like New York, London, and Tokyo became prime targets. With no warning, the drones struck. Buildings collapsed, fires raged, and chaos spread like wildfire. The citizens of Earth could do nothing but watch in terror as the alien fleet began its assault. Back on Earth, General Hayward stood before a map of the world. It was now or never. His eyes scanned the grid, pinpointing where the first strikes had happened. He knew the aliens had the upper hand, but humanity couldn't give up. They had to fight, and they had to fight with everything they had. "Prepare the artillery," Hayward ordered. "We've got one chance to show them we won't go down without a fight. Get the Vanguard ready for launch." The Vanguard was Earth's most advanced warship, a massive vessel equipped with cutting-edge technology. It was humanity's final hope. As the crew worked tirelessly to prepare the ship for battle, Hayward turned to the sky once more. The alien ships were still hovering above, casting a long, dark shadow over Earth. The invasion had begun, but this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. The world held its breath as the first cannons of Earth's artillery began to fire. The sound was deafening, echoing through the atmosphere as the massive blasts ripped through the air. But would it be enough? Could Earth's weapons stand up to the might of the alien fleet? The aliens were mocking humanity's attempts to fight back. They watched as the humans fired everything they had, amused by what they saw as feeble resistance. The alien commanders looked at each other, shaking their heads in disbelief. "Pathetic," one of them sneered. "These humans think they can stop us with their toys?" But even as the aliens laughed, something unexpected was happening. The Vanguard had launched, and it was heading straight for the heart of the alien fleet. Humanity's last chance at survival was now in the hands of this warship and its crew. It would be up to them to turn the tide and prove that humanity wasn't as weak as the aliens thought. The Vanguard is heading straight into the heart of the alien fleet, but will it be enough to stop the invasion? Humanity's fate rests on the next move. The Vanguard was humanity's last hope. It sliced through Earth's atmosphere, its engines roaring as it climbed into space, aiming directly for the heart of the alien fleet. Inside the warship, the crew was tense but focused. General Hayward stood in the control room, his eyes locked on the massive viewscreen, watching as the alien ships loomed closer. The Earth's artillery had already started firing, but it was clear that their conventional weapons weren't enough. The aliens were too powerful, too advanced. This was it, the moment of truth. "Target the largest ship," Hayward barked, his voice firm despite the rising tension. "We've got one shot. Fire everything we've got." The crew worked with military precision. The Vanguard's cannons, massive and intimidating, were charged up and ready. The room fell silent, except for the sound of the cannons charging, their energy vibrating through the entire ship. They had only one shot to make an impact. If they failed, Earth would be lost. "General, we're ready," said Commander Lisa Montgomery, the ship's weapons officer. Her face was pale, but her hands moved swiftly over the controls. "Do it," Hayward said, his voice resolute. With a loud, vibrating hum, the Vanguard's cannons fired. The immense energy blasts shot from the ship, cutting through space like lightning. For a moment, there was complete silence. Everyone on board held their breath, watching as the energy blasts streaked toward the alien fleet. The alien ships, unmoving and arrogant, didn't seem to react at first. The humans had no idea if their shot had hit its target. It felt like an eternity before the first explosion occurred. A huge alien warship the size of a city was struck. The blast hit its shields, causing them to flicker, then shatter under the sheer force of the attack. The ship's hull buckled, and in an instant the massive vessel exploded, debris scattering in all directions. The crew of the Vanguard erupted into cheers. The blast had worked. The alien fleet had been damaged, and the first victory for humanity was secured. For the first time, the aliens' arrogant mockery faltered, but the victory was short-lived. As the dust cleared, another alien warship, even larger than the one they had just destroyed, opened fire. The beams from its weapons were so intense, they turned the blackness of space into daylight. The Vanguard shook violently as one of the beams struck its shield. The force of the attack rattled the crew, throwing people against walls and sending sparks flying from the consoles. "Shields down to 30%, shouted one of the engineers. General Hayward gritted his teeth. They couldn't afford another hit like that. The Vanguard was powerful, but it was still just one ship. They had to keep the pressure on, or they'd be overwhelmed. "We need to move," Hayward shouted. "Get us behind the alien fleet. Keep firing!" The Vanguard's engines roared to life, and the ship veered sharply, dodging the incoming fire. As it did, the ship's secondary cannons, smaller but still deadly, began firing on their own, peppering the alien fleet with barrage after barrage. The alien ships shook with each blast, but they remained resilient. The war had just begun, and now the true battle for Earth was in motion. On the alien ships, the commanders were growing uneasy. The humans had hit them harder than expected. They had underestimated Earth's power, and now, for the first time, they felt the sting of uncertainty. One of the alien generals, a tall, imposing figure named Kazar, slammed his fist onto the control panel in frustration. "How are these humans so strong?" he growled. "Their weapons should be useless. They're primitive, weak. What is this ship?" His officers scrambled to respond, but there was nothing they could say to reassure him. The vanguard had defied all expectations, but Khazar had no intention of losing. He looked at the screens and saw the remaining human warships moving into position, all of them preparing to make their stand. "We will crush them," Khazar said coldly. "Prepare the reinforcements." As the aliens regrouped and prepared their counterattack, General Hayward watched the alien fleet through the Vanguard's view screen. The enemy was regrouping, but humanity had proved they weren't ready to be defeated yet. They had one advantage now, the element of surprise. The aliens had expected the human artillery to be a joke, but it was far from it. It had just shattered their invincibility, and now they were on the back foot. "Keep firing, keep moving," Hayward ordered. "We're not stopping until every last one of them retreats." The Vanguard and its fleet of human warships accelerated toward the heart of the alien fleet, blasting through enemy fire. The humans weren't going to give up without a fight. The battle for Earth had begun, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The Vanguard is pressing forward, but the aliens are preparing to unleash a devastating counterattack. Will humanity's artillery hold strong against the alien retaliation? The Vanguard pushed forward, its massive cannons firing relentlessly at the alien warships. Each shot from its guns ripped through the void, sending shockwaves across space. The alien fleet was reeling from the unexpected assault, their once imposing strength shaken by the human artillery. But they were far from defeated. The alien ships began to reorganize, regrouping into tighter formations, preparing for a counterattack. General Hayward stood at the command center, his eyes fixed on the screen as the alien ships began to maneuver. They were faster, more agile than humanity's warships. The Vanguard was powerful, but it was not designed for speed. As the alien ships closed in, Hayward knew that they would have to rely on every advantage they had. Their artillery had already proven effective, but the aliens weren't going to make the same mistake twice. They were adapting. "Get us into a defensive formation," Hayward shouted. "We can't take another hit like that." Commander Montgomery worked quickly, her fingers flying over the controls. The Vanguard shifted its position, joining the rest of Earth's warships in a tight defensive grid. Each ship fired back at the aliens, but it was clear the aliens were adapting. Their warships moved with precision, dodging and weaving around Earth's attacks with ease. The humans' artillery was powerful, but it was slow. The aliens, with their advanced technology, were outpacing them. Then the aliens struck. The largest alien warship, the one Hayward had been hoping to destroy, fired a massive pulse of energy. The beam shot through space with the speed of light, hitting the Vanguard directly. The ship rocked, and alarms blared as the force of the strike slammed into the shield. Sparks flew from the control panels as the crew struggled to regain control. "Shields at 10%, one of the engineers shouted, panic creeping into his voice. The Vanguard's massive frame shuddered under the blow. The crew held their breath as the shield flickered, its energy reserves quickly draining. Hayward gritted his teeth, knowing that the ship couldn't take another direct hit like that. "Return fire, full power to the cannons," Hayward ordered, his voice hard. The Vanguard fired again, this time aiming for the alien mothership, but the shot missed as the alien ship executed a sudden evasive maneuver. The aliens had already anticipated the humans' next move, their ships darting away before the cannon fire could land. "They're too fast," Commander Montgomery muttered under her breath. "They're turning the tables on us." The alien fleet's retaliation came in waves. Smaller ships swarmed in like angry hornets, launching missiles and energy blasts with devastating speed. Earth's warships fought back, but the battle was becoming increasingly desperate. The Vanguard's guns were powerful, but the aliens' agility and firepower made it feel like they were fighting a losing battle. "General, the aliens are overwhelming." "Us!" one of the officers cried out, fear seeping into his voice. "They've adapted. We can't keep up." Hayward's eyes flickered over the battlefield, calculating his next move. He knew the odds were against them, but they couldn't give up now. Earth had to survive. There was no turning back. Then, an unexpected twist. The Vanguard's sensors picked up a strange anomaly. A series of pulses, unlike any the aliens had used before, were being fired from a hidden section of the fleet. The strange, unrecognizable energy blasts shot through space, heading straight for the heart of Earth's fleet. "Commander, what are those?" Hayward asked, his voice laced with concern. "I don't know, sir," Montgomery replied, her face pale. "But they're coming fast." The pulses hit the front lines of Earth's defense, destabilizing the ship's shields. One by one, the human warships began to break apart as the strange energy beams tore through them. The Vanguard was spared for the moment, but the alien assault had escalated to a new level. "Brace for impact!" Hayward shouted. The crew scrambled to reinforce the ship's shield and reroute power to vital systems. But the aliens' new weapon was unlike anything they had encountered before. It seemed to bypass the ship's shields entirely, striking directly at the core systems. Sparks erupted from the control panels, and the hull trembled as another energy pulse struck the Vanguard's side. "We're losing power to the main engines," the chief engineer reported, his voice thick with panic. "If we don't get those systems back online, we'll be sitting ducks." Hayward clenched his jaw, watching as the alien ships closed in, firing relentlessly. Earth's warships, once a proud and powerful fleet, were being destroyed one by one. The Vanguard was holding on, but just barely. There was no time left to play it safe. Earth's forces were on the brink of collapse. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," Hayward ordered. "All hands, brace for impact." The Vanguard lurched to the side, narrowly dodging another energy blast. But it was clear. Humanity was losing ground fast. The alien fleet was too strong, and their new weapon was devastating. The battle had reached a critical point. Just when all seemed lost, a voice crackled over the communication system. It was from one of Earth's smaller warships, the Interceptor. "We've got an opening," the captain of the Interceptor shouted. "We can break through their formation. It's risky, but it's our only shot. We have to hit their mothership directly. We need to strike now." The Interceptor's daring plan could turn the tide, but will humanity risk everything on a single strike? Can they hit the alien mothership before it's too late? The Vanguard rocked violently again as alien fire rained down. Its shields, now at critical levels, were barely holding. The crew scrambled, working tirelessly to maintain the integrity of the ship. Sparks flew from broken consoles, and the hum of the ship's failing systems filled the air. General Hayward's grip tightened on the console in front of him, his eyes narrowed in determination. The aliens were closing in. The battle was slipping from humanity's grasp, but there was still a chance. One final chance. "Commander Montgomery," Hayward said, his voice steady but filled with urgency, "prepare the Vanguard for the final strike. We need to break their formation. We don't have time left." Montgomery turned quickly, her fingers moving across the controls as she processed his command. "General, the engines are losing power. If we push them too hard, we'll lose control of the ship. We won't make it out." "There's no choice," Hayward replied, his tone firm. "We've got one shot at this. Get us in position. Full speed ahead." The ship lurched forward as the Vanguard pushed its engines to the limit, fighting against the tide of alien fire that threatened to overwhelm them. Outside the view screen, Earth's remaining warships were doing the same, charging toward the alien mothership, the heart of the enemy's fleet. But the alien ships were moving fast, weaving between fire, and every second that passed made the humans' position more perilous. The Vanguard had taken damage from every angle, but it still held together, barely. "General, we're taking fire from multiple directions," one of the officers shouted. "The Vanguard can't take much more of this." Hayward didn't flinch. He had seen enough to know what had to be done. The Vanguard was the last line of defense, and it had to deliver the decisive blow. "Commander, charge the main cannons," Hayward ordered, locking his eyes on the looming alien mothership in the distance. We'll fire everything we have at the center. No matter what happens next, we end this now." Montgomery hesitated for only a second before nodding. "Aye, General. Charging the cannons now." The tension in the air was palpable. The Vanguard's cannons began to hum, charging up for the most powerful shot Earth had ever attempted. The massive energy required was almost too much for the ship to handle, but it had to be done. Hayward's eyes never left the enemy mothership. The alien fleet was shifting positions, and the smaller ships moved to intercept. But the human ships had no choice but to push forward. "We're almost in range," Montgomery said, her voice tight with strain. "Get ready, General." Hayward stood tall, his eyes locked onto the screen. His heart pounded, and time seemed to stretch, every passing second feeling like an eternity. The Vanguard crept closer to the heart of the alien fleet. The alien ships, sensing the danger, began to close in from all sides. This was their last chance. If this shot missed or failed, humanity would be doomed. "Prepare to fire," Montgomery called. Charging complete, firing in 3, 2, 1. The blast from the Vanguard's main cannons erupted with blinding intensity. The enormous energy shot forward, streaking through space like a thunderbolt. The force of the blast made the Vanguard shake violently, but it held together, its powerful shot cutting through the void with deadly accuracy. For a moment, everything seemed to freeze. The shot collided with the alien mothership's shields. There was a flash of light, and the entire ship shuddered. The shields faltered, flickered, and then, with an explosive burst, they collapsed entirely. The energy blast punched through the hull of the alien ship, and the shockwave was felt throughout. The battlefield. The alien mothership trembled as the explosion spread across its surface. A massive breach opened in its side, and fire erupted from within. "Yes," one of the crew members shouted, his voice filled with awe. "It's working!" But their victory was short-lived. The remaining alien ships, enraged by the destruction of their flagship, launched a brutal retaliation. Their weapons fired relentlessly, hammering into the Vanguard and the remaining Earth ships. "We're taking heavy fire," Commander Montgomery shouted. "Shields are down to 5%. "We can't stop now," Hayward muttered. "We have to finish it." "They're not retreating, they're going for the kill." "We end this now." The Vanguard's cannons powered up for another shot. The alien mothership was still struggling, but it wasn't defeated yet. The alien fleet, though suffering, was regrouping for one final strike. The battle was now a race against time. Earth's forces had broken the shield, but they still had to destroy the mothership before it could retaliate with its full power. "Prepare for the final assault," Hayward ordered. "All remaining firepower, aim for the heart of their ship. Do not let up." The crew worked in unison, readying the last of the Vanguard's energy for a final desperate blow. The alien mothership, now severely crippled, was trying to stabilize its systems. But it was clear it had no time to recover. The alien fleet was circling, anticipating its last stand, but Hayward knew that the fate of Earth rested on this one final strike. Fire. The Vanguard's cannons let loose, releasing a devastating burst of energy. The shot was aimed directly at the alien mothership's core, where the ship's power was concentrated. The explosion was cataclysmic. The Vanguard's screens lit up with blinding light as the energy slammed into the mothership, completely disintegrating it in a massive, fiery eruption. The alien mothership has been destroyed, but the remaining alien fleet is still out there, furious and relentless. Is humanity's victory secure, or will they face an even greater danger from what remains of the alien forces? The explosion that erupted from the alien mothership illuminated the dark expanse of space like a star being born. For a fleeting moment, the crew of the Vanguard could only watch in awe as the debris of the massive ship spread out in all directions. The alien fleet had just lost its heart, the mothership that had been leading the invasion. It was a blow unlike any the aliens had ever anticipated. "General, we did it," Commander Montgomery shouted, her voice cracking with disbelief. "The mothership is gone. They're retreating." Hayward stood still, his eyes fixed on the view screen. It was true. The remaining alien ships, though still formidable, were pulling back. Their formations broke apart, and many of them began to shift toward the edges of the battlefield, trying to escape the reach of Earth's weapons. Some had already begun jumping into hyperspace, their retreating vessels vanishing into the void. The sudden shift was almost too much to comprehend. The invincible alien fleet was now fractured, its leadership destroyed, but Hayward wasn't celebrating yet. He knew better. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. Maintain firing positions, Hayward ordered, his voice firm. Don't let them regroup. The battle isn't won until we've pushed them back completely. The Vanguard and the remaining Earth warships formed a tight defensive perimeter, ready to launch another wave of attacks. The enemy was retreating, yes, but their forces were still vast, and Earth's fleet was battered and bruised. Hayward knew the aliens wouldn't give up without one final push. And this time, they would be ready. "General," Montgomery said, turning to him with a concerned look. "The fleet is still in disarray. Should we press the attack now while they're weak, or should we wait and consolidate our position?" Hayward didn't hesitate. "We push forward. The longer they're alive, the more dangerous they become. Earth's strength comes from the fact that we fight together. We strike now, while they're in chaos." With that, the Vanguard and the rest of Earth's warships moved forward, closing in on the fleeing alien ships. They fired relentlessly, their weapons still deadly, despite the toll the battle had taken on their own ships. Each blast felt like a declaration, a final statement that humanity would not bend to an invader, no matter how powerful. For every alien ship that fled, there was another one that fell, crumbling under the weight of humanity's resolve. Earth's artillery had proven itself time and time again, and now it was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of defiance, a signal to the universe that humanity had earned its place among the stars. And then, just when it seemed like the alien fleet might truly break, something unexpected happened. A large group of alien ships, the ones that had been retreating, turned back toward the Vanguard. They were not fleeing anymore, they were charging. A massive final assault was underway. "General," shouted one of the officers, panic evident in his voice, "the enemy is regrouping. They're coming back with everything they've got." Hayward's eyes flickered to the view screen. The alien ships were converging, their weapons charged, and they were heading straight for the Vanguard and the remaining Earth fleet. "This is it," Hayward murmured, as he watched the alien ships lock into attack formation, their last stand. The crew prepared for what would undoubtedly be their hardest fight yet. The Vanguard's cannons powered up once more, ready to unleash everything they had. Every warship, every soldier, every pilot was focused on the task at hand. They had no choice but to fight to the very end. "Brace for impact," Hayward shouted, his voice booming through the command center. The alien fleet attacked with unrelenting force. Beams of energy so powerful they seemed to tear at the fabric of space itself, slammed into Earth's warships. The Vanguard shuddered under the barrage, and the other ships in the fleet began to fall one by one, under the crushing weight of the alien assault. But Earth wasn't going to give in. "We're not stopping," Hayward growled, his eyes fixed on the enemy. "All remaining ships, fire everything we've got." The Vanguard and the remaining Earth warships fired back with all their might. The cannons roared as energy blasts ripped through space, impacting the alien ships with devastating precision. The alien ships were powerful, but they were too spread out. The human fleet had the advantage of coordination and unity, something the aliens had underestimated. For every alien ship that fell, another one took its place. But the battle was taking its toll. Hayward could feel the ship's systems beginning to fail, the damage mounting. It was clear that this last push would decide everything, Earth's survival or its extinction. Then, just as the last of the alien ships closed in for the final assault, a miracle happened. The Vanguard's main cannon, still functioning, powered up for one final shot. "Fire!" Hayward shouted, his voice hoarse. The blast from the Vanguard's cannon tore through space, slicing through the remaining alien warships like a hot knife through butter. The beam hit the largest alien ship, the flagship of the remaining fleet, and in a brilliant flash, the ship exploded in a massive fireball. sending shockwaves across the battlefield. The remaining alien ships, now leaderless, faltered. Their forces were scattered, and the retreat began. Earth had done it. The alien fleet is retreating, but Earth's warships have been severely damaged. Can humanity recover from this victory and rebuild, or will the galaxy send new threats to test Earth's newfound strength? The once terrifying alien fleet had been shattered, its powerful ships reduced to debris floating in the cold expanse of space. The remnants of the fleet were retreating, some blinking out of existence as they activated their hyperdrive engines, fleeing back to the unknown depths of the galaxy. Earth had won. The victory was hard fought, and the price had been high. But humanity had stood its ground and emerged stronger than anyone had ever anticipated. On board the Vanguard, the atmosphere was a mixture of relief and exhaustion. The ship's crew, battered and bruised, stood in silence, staring at the view screen. The battle was over, but the scars of the war were deep. The damage to the ship was severe. Its hull was scorched in places, and many systems were on the brink of failure. The crew had done everything they could to keep the ship operational, but even the Vanguard had been pushed to its limits. General Hayward, though exhausted, stood tall at the command center. His face was covered in grime, his uniform torn from the battle, but his eyes still burned with determination. He knew the war wasn't truly over, not yet. The alien fleet might have retreated, but the threat they represented was far from gone. The galaxy was still out there, and Earth had just made a name for itself among the stars. "Status report," Hayward said, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. Commander Montgomery, who had been by his side throughout the battle, turned to him. "The Vanguard is heavily damaged, General. We've lost primary power, and several systems are offline. We'll need extensive repairs before we can move again. But, sir, the alien fleet, they're gone. They're retreating to the outer sectors." "The worst is over," Hayward nodded, his mind racing. "And what about the remaining Earthships?" "Most of them are still holding position, though severely damaged," Montgomery replied. "The few that are still operational are coordinating the retreat and moving back to Earth's orbit. There's still a lot of debris out here, and our recovery teams are starting the search for survivors. But all things considered, it's a miracle we're still standing." The silence in the command center was deafening. The crew had won, but at a steep cost. Humanity had held its own, but now the real battle would begin, the battle to rebuild. "Send a message to the fleet," Hayward ordered, looking out at the debris-filled battlefield. "Let them know we've won. It's time to return home." As Montgomery relayed the message, the crew began working to stabilize the ship. The lights flickered, but the Vanguard's engines came to life, slowly but surely. The ship was damaged, but it wasn't broken. Humanity wasn't broken. Meanwhile, on Earth, the news of the victory had already begun to spread. Cities that had been in ruin, families that had been torn apart, began to breathe again. For the first time in weeks, the people of Earth felt a sense of hope, a spark of possibility in the face of overwhelming odds. It wasn't just the military that had been tested, it was every person on Earth. Humanity had faced the darkness, and against all odds it had stood tall. Earth's victory sent a ripple through the galaxy. Other alien races, watching from the shadows, were now unsure of their place in the universe. If Earth could stand against a force like that, what else could they achieve? "General," Montgomery said, her voice filled with an almost hesitant excitement, "Earth's coming back online. We've received a transmission from the President. He wants to speak with you directly." Hayward's eyes darkened. "Patch me through." The screen in front of him flickered to life, and President Carter's face appeared, his expression grave but determined. The President wasted no time with pleasantries. "General Hayward, I don't need to tell you how vital your victory has been. Humanity owes you everything. But there's still so much work to do. The alien threat may have retreated, but they won't forget this. And we're not the only planet they've attacked." Hayward's expression hardened as he listened, knowing full well that the victory they had just achieved was the beginning of something far larger. The alien fleet had retreated, but they would regroup. The real war, the war for Earth's place in the galaxy, was just beginning. "I understand, Mr. President," Hayward replied. "We've made our stand, but it's only the first step. The aliens will be back. We'll need more than just weapons to protect Earth. We'll need to unite the planet, bring everyone together." The President nodded. "And we will, General. But we need to start building relationships beyond our world. Earth can't just survive. We need to thrive. We need allies, and we need to show the galaxy that we're a force to be reckoned with. This war isn't over. It's only just begun." Hayward stood in silence for a moment, his mind racing. The battle had been won, but the real challenge lay ahead. The war for humanity's future in the galaxy was just starting, and Earth would need every ally it could find to survive what was to come. As the transmission ended, Hayward turned to Commander Montgomery, his face set in determination. "We're not done yet," Hayward said quietly. "This was just the first chapter. The aliens may have retreated today, but the galaxy will be watching us, and it's up to us to prove that humanity is a force to be reckoned with. We rebuild now, and we prepare for whatever comes next. The alien fleet may have retreated, but their message was clear. The galaxy would never forget the day humanity fought back. As Earth begins to rebuild, new challenges arise, and humanity must prepare for the coming storm. What will Earth's place be in the galaxy, and how will humanity respond to the unknown threats that are sure to come? The victory against the alien fleet had reverberated across the planet, but the aftermath was far from simple. Earth was alive with energy and excitement, but beneath the celebrations, the harsh reality of the cost of the war was ever present. The cities that had been once laid to waste by the alien assault were now focused on rebuilding. But the damage, both physical and emotional, ran deep. General Hayward sat in the command center aboard the Vanguard, his mind heavy with the weight of what came next. Though Earth had repelled the invaders, the war had changed everything. The Earth they had fought to protect would no longer be the same. Humanity had drawn a line in the stars, but the future was uncertain. "General," Commander Montgomery's voice broke through his thoughts, "we've received communication from the Galactic Council." The Galactic Council, the same council of alien races that had once voted to exile Earth from the galaxy, was now offering an olive branch. After seeing humanity's resilience in battle, many of the races were reconsidering their position. But not all. Hayward looked up from the console, his face grim. "What are they saying?" "They're offering Earth a seat at the table, General," Montgomery replied, her voice cautious. "But not all races are happy about it. The ones who attacked us are still out there. And some of the more conservative factions want to ensure Earth's military strength is neutralized before we're allowed to join their ranks." Hayward leaned back in his chair, processing the information. A seat at the table, yes, but what would it cost? Would Earth be able to stand strong against the powers that still viewed them as a threat, or would they be forced to bend to the will of other alien factions? The Council's message was clear. We acknowledge humanity's strength. However, for full integration into the galactic community, we require a demonstration of trust. "You will be monitored closely." "Monitored?" Hayward muttered. "Trust? After everything we've been through?" Commander Montgomery didn't respond immediately. Instead, she focused on the map that now filled the center of the command room. "We'll have to decide where Earth stands in this new order. We can't afford to let our guard down. Some of these races see us as a threat. Others, though, may view Earth as an ally." Hayward's gaze sharpened. He'd spent months leading Earth's forces through an impossible war, but the real battle, he now realized, was still ahead. Earth had earned its place among the stars, but that place was fragile. Other races had their own interests and agendas, and many of them would never fully accept humanity's rise to power. "We need to meet them halfway," Hayward said slowly, his mind working through the possibilities. "Humanity has proven its might, but we can't act like we're invincible. We need allies, and more than that, we need to know who we can trust." Montgomery nodded. "But it's not just the Galactic Council we need to worry about. The factions that attacked us, they're still out there, and they're not going to forget what happened today. We'll have to be prepared for anything. Hayward's expression darkened as he turned back to the screen. The war had just ended, but it felt like the real war had only just begun. Earth had survived, but the galaxy was far more complicated than they had realized. The alien forces that had once mocked humanity were now wary of Earth's power, but their resentment would likely fuel more battles ahead. "You're right," Hayward said. "We need to strengthen our alliances and defend Earth from every angle. The last thing we can afford is another surprise attack. We'll have to rebuild our fleet," Montgomery added, "and fast. The alien fleets may be retreating, but they're only regrouping. And they'll come back stronger." As the crew worked diligently to stabilize the Vanguard and repair the damage it had sustained, Hayward remained deep in thought. Earth had been tested, but now the true challenge was beginning. Rebuilding Earth's military, strengthening alliances, and establishing a place in the galaxy. It was all part of the plan to secure humanity's future. Later that day, Earth's leaders gathered for a live broadcast to announce the victory to the world. It was a moment that would go down in history. But even as Hayward sat in the room, watching the faces of the world leaders on the screen, he couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest part was still ahead. The president addressed the globe, his voice steady but filled with pride. "Today, humanity stands together, united in our triumph. We have defeated a force that many thought could never be defeated. We have shown the galaxy that Earth will not bow, that we are a force to be reckoned with. But this is not the end. It is only the beginning." As the president continued, Hayward's thoughts wandered to the future. The alien threat may have retreated, but there would be others. And what was it all for if humanity couldn't secure its place on the galactic stage? The Vanguard was still at the front of Earth's fleet, and its damage was being carefully repaired. But the battle for Earth's future in the galaxy was far from over. For every alien race that had offered peace, another waited to strike. The balance of power had shifted, but Hayward knew this fragile peace could break at any moment. As the president finished his speech and the crowd erupted in applause, Hayward felt no sense of relief. The work had only just begun. Humanity had proven its worth on the battlefield, but now it had to prove it could navigate the complicated, dangerous world of galactic politics. The victory over the alien fleet has brought Earth a seat at the table, but the price of peace may be higher than humanity is prepared to pay. With new alien threats emerging and old grudges festering, can Earth hold its ground, or will the galaxy's darker forces rise again? The dust had barely settled from the war, and already Earth was facing an uncertain future. The alien fleet had retreated, and humanity had proven itself on the battlefield. But the galaxy had taken notice. As Earth's leaders began to navigate the rocky path to a new era, they knew that their victory was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and not all alien races were eager to welcome humanity with open arms. In fact, many of the older civilizations viewed humanity's rise with deep suspicion, and in some cases, outright hostility. General Hayward sat in the war room, his gaze fixed on the star chart projected before him. The galaxy was filled with new possibilities, but it was also fraught with new dangers. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, but now it had to find its place within the complex web of intergalactic politics. "We've made contact with several alien races," Commander Montgomery reported, her voice steady but laced with tension. "Some are eager to align with Earth, but others, not so much. The factions that attacked us are regrouping. We've already detected several new fleets in the outer sectors. The galaxy hasn't forgotten what happened." Hayward nodded grimly. "The galaxy will never forget, and we can't afford to forget either. It's time for Earth to prepare for whatever comes next." The weight of leadership had never felt heavier. The war had drained Earth's resources, and rebuilding the fleet, restoring infrastructure, and fortifying their position in the galaxy would take time. Humanity had proven its resilience, but now the challenge was different. It wasn't just about survival. It was about securing Earth's future in an uncertain and hostile galaxy. As the Vanguard's repair crews worked tirelessly to restore the ship, Hayward spent most of his days meeting with Earth's top diplomats and strategists, discussing how to forge alliances and navigate the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. The Galactic Council, still reeling from their defeat, had made it clear that Earth's military might was now something to be reckoned with. But it was also a threat, one that many races would not easily accept. "General," Montgomery said, her voice cutting through his thoughts, "we've just received another transmission from the Galactic Council. They want us to send representatives to the next peace summit. The Andromeda Coalition has already agreed to attend, but the Zathar Dominion has expressed strong opposition. They want Earth disarmed." Hayward's fist clenched at the mention of the Zathar Dominion. They were a ruthless, militaristic faction that had long viewed Earth as a primitive, expendable world. Their opposition to Earth's inclusion in galactic politics was no surprise, but it made Hayward's resolve harden. "Disarmed?" Hayward repeated. "They want to strip us of our military strength after everything we've done. After we stop the invasion?" Montgomery nodded. "That's the proposal. The Council is trying to find a middle ground, but we may have to make a choice, disarm or risk being isolated from the galactic community." Hayward stood in silence for a moment, weighing his options. He had spent his career fighting for humanity's survival, and now the fight was different. It wasn't just about defending Earth from invaders, it was about defining humanity's role in the galaxy. "We can't let them disarm us," Hayward finally said, his voice firm. "We've proven we can defend ourselves, but more than that, we've shown that humanity is willing to stand up for what's right. If we back down now, we'll be seen as weak. Earth deserves a place in this galaxy, not as a pawn, but as a power." Montgomery agreed. "If we're going to have a seat at the table, we need to show the galaxy we can hold our ground. We've earned the respect of some, but others will only see our strength. If we give it up now, it'll be the beginning of the end." It was a delicate decision. If Earth refused the Council's proposal, they risked being labeled as a threat, ostracized by the very powers they had fought to join. But if they gave in, they risked losing everything they had fought for, their independence, their security, and their dignity. "We'll send our representatives to the summit," Hayward decided. "But we'll make it clear that Earth will not be disarmed. We will stand firm in our position. The galaxy will have to accept humanity as we are, strong, independent, and unwilling to be anyone's servant." The Vanguard's engines roared to life as it prepared to depart Earth's orbit, heading toward the location of the peace summit. The journey was long, and as the warship cruised through space, Hayward couldn't shake the feeling that this meeting would determine more than just Earth's future. It would determine humanity's place in the galaxy. As the fleet approached the summit, Hayward couldn't help but think back to the battle, to the moment when the Vanguard had fired its final shot at the alien mothership. That moment had been humanity's turning point, the moment when Earth had shown the galaxy that it wasn't just a helpless planet. It was a world capable of rising to the occasion, no matter the odds. But now, as Earth's future hung in the balance, Hayward knew the true test was yet to come. Would humanity's strength be enough to secure its place in the galaxy, or would the galaxy's power brokers seek to crush Earth's newfound confidence? The Peace Summit would reveal the answer. Cliffhanger. As the Vanguard approaches the Galactic Council's Peace Summit, the future of Earth hangs in the balance. Will humanity's strength and determination be enough to secure its place in the galaxy, or will they be forced to make sacrifices that could jeopardize everything they've fought for? The true battle for Earth's future is just beginning.